going on, everyone? Long time no see. Man, it's been a while since we made a video. I think the last one we did was the one at Auger Ponds out there by Morgan Hill. But now kind of a recap what I've been doing. You know, I've been working in the San Francisco Bay Area. You know, I've been doing a lot of fishing out there almost every day after work. You know, sometimes on the weekends, and you know, I don't want to make it sound bad or anything, but I didn't really have enough time to edit any videos. I was just fishing so much. But no, I got a call from my office about a week ago, saying that the job up here in McKinleyville, up here by Eureka, needed a couple things to be done. And so that's actually where I'm at right now. Back out here at Freshwater Lagoon. It's Sunday. Left this morning about 4:30 this morning. It took me about 9 hours to get up here. It is actually right at 2 o'clock. So yeah, I'll be up here till Thursday morning. And then Thursday morning I got to drive to another job over east. So I got this afternoon to fish, possibly Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon, but you know, depending on how the job goes and how long everything takes, you know, this might be the only day I get to fish. Yeah, last time I was up here, actually last time I fished it, you know, it was a lot of thick grass, you know, a lot of cheddar on top. Got here and I'm not seeing hardly anything, you know, it's just water. The last time I was here was about maybe October-ish or something, like beginning of October, somewhere around there. But so yeah, it's like a 1 year reunion. You know, we'll see how this lake, you know, produces. You know, it did produce last year. You know, it served me well. You know, I did really well out here, caught a lot of fish, a lot of big fish. But yeah, we'll give it a try this afternoon. Hopefully we can try it the rest of the afternoons, and we'll see what Freshwater Lagoon, you know, gives us. You know, it could either be a skunk or, you know, it could produce like it did last year. But yeah, we'll start off here. We got the pontoon all set up, rigged to go. I got 4 rods. 2 are set up for punching and pitching. Another one set up with the chatterbait, and another one set up with the spinnerbait. You know, that setup right there, you know, the punching, pitching, chatterbait, the spinnerbait, that's really all I threw out here. You know, every so often I, you know, do a drop shot, threw a frog a few times, got a couple, but you know, mainly it was just a spinnerbait, chatterbait, you know, and a punching, pitching setup. But yeah, we'll start off right here on the shoreline right here. We'll kind of head south, kind of go down a little bit, kind of hit that bank, you know, see if we can find some you know, a grass line or something. Kind of head towards the back a little bit, then cross over, hit the other side of the bank and come back. And you know, because I think sunset's about 6:30, so really we got 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, we got 3.5, 4 hours. As always, you know, the Freshwater Lagoon always looks so fishy, and I want to get at it. So let's not waste any time and let's get at it. Yeah, the grass is about a foot to 2 feet under the water. So this is where like a spinnerbait or even a chatterbait would work really good. There we go. There we go. Got our first one. Little guy. Maybe about 3/4 to a pound. Basically just slow rolling it right on top of that grass. And you'll feel the grass. You know, it'll kind of tick, it'll kind of grab. And if you start feeling the grass, just either lift up your rod or just kind of speed your retrieve up a little bit. Because the bass are inside the grass. You know, they're hiding in the structure. And as soon as they see something come over the top, they're going to come out after it. There we go. That little guy. Man, he wanted it. Yeah, little guy. Well, we are starting to get into that fall transition. You know, these fish should start eating a lot, you know, fattening up for the winter time. There we go. Feels like a little bit of a better one. A little bit bigger. Yeah. Nice, fat and healthy. Kind of coming up on this one spot I found when I was fishing here last year. There's a, I guess you call it shrub tree that kind of sticks out a little bit more on the bank than all the rest of them, and then out from that one, out about, I don't know, 60, 70 yards from the shoreline, there's a nice patch of sand that's within the grass. It's only about probably a 30-foot diameter little hole in the grass, and I've actually caught some decent ones out of it. So, little guy. Kind of coming up to it here in a little bit. It's a lot easier to see it. You know, you can actually see it if you're able to stand up on a boat. I just got hit. Stand up on a boat, you know, you can see the grass in a, you know, all around, and it's just open in the middle. Another one. Really like 1 pounder. Another one. Feels like a little guy. A little guy. Basically what I'm throwing here is just a Strike King. It's a 1/2 ounce spinnerbait, double leaf. Then I'm using a Kitech, I think it's a 3.3 little swim bait on it, which you can see he bit off the end on that. But like I said, you're just casting it out there and just slow reeling it in. There we go. Okay. A little bit decent one. Pound and a quarter. Now with the punching, basically what you're doing is you're just dropping it into this grass, trying to go right through the middle of it, because like I said, the fish are going to be in it. You just basically keep your thumb a little bit on the spool when it goes down, and as soon as you feel that thump, I'm going to set the hook. You know, even if you're not sure, set the hook. You know, because that could be the difference of a, you know, 1 pounder or a 6 pounder. It's just, you never know. You know, it's hard for you guys to see the grass. I can barely see it. You know, it was a lot better when the wind wasn't blowing. There it is. Little guy. Like I said, you'll never know. As soon as you feel that thump, set the hook. They're getting better. Probably 1.5 pounds, 1.75 pounds. That little guy. Hi. Got away. It's okay. Yeah, it's been a while. Little 1 pounder. Little guy. Yeah. Been a while. Okay. All right, everyone. Well, this is day 2, Monday afternoon. Took a little bit longer at work than I expected, but hey, we're out on the water. Right now it is 4:30. We've only got about maybe hour and a half until sunset. So, you know, I was planning on going to like the south end of the lake, trying that half, because yesterday we tried like the north end half, and you know, we caught a few. You know, Nothing into any size, you know, pound, maybe a pound and a half, but you know, at least we didn't get skunked. So since we only got about an hour and a half, we're just going to play on the north end of the lake. We'll try up against the reeds up here, kind of follow that around, kind of hit some of those grass mats and see what we can get a few. So let's not waste any time and let's get at it. Little guy. Well, we'll take him. There we go. A little bit bigger than the other one. We'll take them. Oop. He's released. Another little guy. There we go. There's a better one. Okay. There's a better one. Probably about 3 pounds. Nice, beautiful fish. Got a little belly on her. Nice. There we go. Another little guy. Nice. Little guy. There we go. Little guy. Feisty. Another one. And every so often, just give it kind of like a pop. You know, give it a little bit of different action. Throw it in a little bit faster. Stop, pause. You know, just give it that kind of different action instead of just slow reeling it in. There we go. Our little guy. He hit it as soon as it hit the water. Yeah, little guy. Another one. There we go. Our little guy. There we go. Bunch of little ones. There we go. Our little guy. There we go. Another one. It's fat. soon as it hit the water. Oh, that's a good one. What? It's a trout. Holy crap. All right. Man, little guy. That is. I always want to get that last one. All right, we'll make this the last one. Oh wow, dude, what are you thinking? All right. Well, that's it. Fun afternoon. We'll see what tomorrow brings us. All right, everyone, this is day 3, Tuesday afternoon. Yeah, yesterday was fun. You know, once that sun went down, that late afternoon bite turned on, and you know, we didn't get anything big or anything. It was just, you know, little small guys coming out. But you know, other than that, it was fun catching a bunch at the end of the day. And then we got that bigger trout, which was a surprise. But yeah, and then we also got that bigger one that we, you know, punched through the grass. He was probably about 3 pounds. You know, notice on that one, we were in a little bit of deeper water, probably about maybe 15 feet or so. But yeah, this afternoon it's nice and calm, very light wind. I think we're going to try to make a run to the south end of the lake down there. We haven't tried down there yet, and hopefully we can catch a few down there, and we'll work our way back. And yeah, we'll see if we can get some of those big ones. Maybe they're hanging down on that south end. So let's not waste any time, and let's get at it. There was someone home. Little guy. That's what we're looking for. Big, healthy. £4. That's what we're looking for. Big old. All right, thank you. Okay. There we go. That was a decent one. About a pound quarter, maybe pound and a half. Nice. Little chunkies. There we go. That feels a bit better. Getting out of the grass. That's a better one. Yeah, probably 2 pounds. Nice one. Yeah, that's how small they are. Just the little guys attacking it. Get out of the grass. It's a better one. About a pound, pound and a quarter. Nice. There we go. That's a little guy. Little. Alright, start heading in. was gonna start heading in, but it's in the boil right in front. Another trout. It is. That's funny. Got another trout. Another nice one. £1.25 or so. Last cast. All right, last one of the afternoon. Just a little guy, but we'll take him. Another fun afternoon. You know, we headed all the way into the back and tried back there. We didn't get anything. Tried it up a little shallower. Nothing in there. We went out a little bit deeper and punching through that grass, we got that 4-pounder and kind of followed it back to the north end and just start casting that spinner bait around the open water out here, you know, late afternoon, and that's where we're getting a few of them. So we got one more day. Hopefully it's not a long day at work tomorrow, and yeah, we'll see if you know, see if we can get another big one tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. All right, everyone. Well, this is the last afternoon, you know, Wednesday afternoon. Got out of work at a decent hour, so we got some time to do some fishing this afternoon. So the lake's looking pretty good right now. You know, we got low winds. You know, it's nice and clear. You know, hopefully the fish will bite a little bit more. You know, hopefully we can get some of those bigger ones. You know, we did get that 4-pounder yesterday. We went out a little bit deeper water. That's where we got her at. But you know, we tried up a little closer to shore, couldn't really get anything. And of course, you know, late afternoon, once that sun went down, started getting dark, you know, that kind of late afternoon bite kind of turned on. But you know, we haven't really got anything into any size, but you know, it's still fun, you know, to catch a bunch of them. But yeah, we'll see what we can do this afternoon, and you know, hopefully we can get another big one, and yeah, we'll see what happens. So kind of wanted to go over my tackle that I'm using, you know, my rods and reels. This one right here, we got that Strike King spinner bait with a Kel-Tec trailer on it, 1/2 ounce. This is a Megabass Levante 7.2 paired up with a Shimano Corrado, using the 12-pound P-line on this rod. We got that other rod right there, same thing, 7.2 Megabass Levante. That one I got set up with a chatterbait on it, 12-pound also on that one. And then I got these two rods. I got, you know, pretty much all my rods are Megabass Levantes. This rod right here is a 710 heavy action. It's got 60-pound braid with another Shimano on here. You know, with those bigger bass going into the grass, you know, you need that heavy rod, you need that heavy line, that braid, to be able to get them out of there. You know, if I were to try to use my my other rods with the 12 pound on it, you know, I'd probably wind up just snapping the line. And you need that heavy rod with that good backbone on it to be able to, you know, lift them out of there. But you know, that's just kind of my tackle. Using a size 3 and on the other rod a size 4 pitching punching hooks. One of them set with the 3/4 ounce tungsten, the other one set with a 1 ounce tungsten. You know, it kind of gives you that kind of option. You know, if the grass is a little bit light, easy to go through, I'll use that 3/4 ounce. It's a little heavy, a little bit thicker, I'll use that 1 ounce to punch through it a little bit more. The baits I like to use, that I used a lot out here, was made by Big Bite Baits. I think it's called the Kamikaze Craw. You know, if you watch my past videos, you know, that's pretty much all I threw as my creature bait, and you know, it shows, you know, they work. Just kind of wanted to go through, give a kind of tackle update, and let's not waste any time and let's get at it. I was just trying to find them. They're in there. Little guy. We'll take him. That's a start. There we go. It's a better one. It's probably a 2 3/4, almost 3 pounds. Nice. There you go, about 1 1/4 pounds. Nice. Okay. Little guy. Barely felt him. Little guy. Oh. Hit it on the way down the first time. Missed him. Threw it right back in there and got him. Little chunker. There you go. guy. He's in there. See if we can get him. There he is. It's a little guy. We'll take him. Pound and a quarter. Little guy. Yeah, there we go. That's what we're looking for. Got 5 pounds. A 5-pounder. Beautiful fish. Nice and fat. That's the way to end the day. Thank you, girl. I think that's gonna be the last one. Little guy. Nice. £3. Man, I don't want to leave. Starting to get the big uns. God. All right, everyone, well, that's it. You know, it was a fun, 4 afternoons of fishing. We got out here on Sunday afternoon, fished around. I was kind of hoping it was going to be like last time I was here, but we are a little bit later in the season from the last time I was here. But we went around, tried on that shoreline. Nothing on there. Those late afternoon bites, once that sun goes down, throwing that spinnerbait around, it was, it just seemed like we were getting one every other cast. Didn't really get anything into size, on Sunday. Monday, I think we got that we got that 3-pounder ish, yeah. But then yesterday on Tuesday, it was still a fun day. We caught some kind of during the day, and then that late afternoon bite again, throwing that spinner bait, and we got a few. And then coming out today, we followed that shoreline, all the way to the south end, got a few on the way down, then shot over to the east side, kind of followed that up, didn't get anything there. Then kind of more on the north side, we got one, and then we just kind of played around, and then towards the end of the day, we were hitting those, patches of grass, just punching through them, and we got that 5-pounder, we got a 3-pounder. Actually, I think we got 2 3-pounders today. Can't remember, but no, that 5-pounder, that was definitely, that was definitely something I was looking forward to. And it was definitely, a good sized fish to end of the day. But the thing that I started kind of doing, I noticing that, I was kind of going too quick, when I was punching the grass. I'd punch in, up, down, up, down, up, down. And I think I was just going too fast. So I kind of just slowed it like way down, just slow and even, up and down. And then it seems like they were, getting it. Also too, I was going into more of like deeper water. I think I was at about 15 feet or so. And that seemed like that's where we're getting more of our fish, when we're punching those grass mats. But it is, into the fall season, winter is coming up, the water is cold, these fish are hunkered down in that grass. It's going to come to a point to where they're not really going to move around a whole lot, and that's where you need to really start slowing down. It's hard for me because I'm kind of a power fisherman. I like to beat the banks, I like to fish fast, but wintertime, you just gotta slow down. That's the biggest thing. Other than that, it's 6:40 right now. It's getting dark. Unfortunately, this is the last day. I wish I could stay longer, but I gotta head on out. Definitely, at some point, I will be back. This lake definitely is special, and it still produces. With all those smaller bass we caught, those 1-pounders, we caught quite a bit. I think next year during the spring and summertime, this place is just it's gonna be on fire. Make sure you guys hit that like and that subscribe, and I'm gonna start making some more of these videos. My next job, like I said, it's about 3 hours east of here. I'm not gonna say what lake it is, but I'll have my boat up there, and we're gonna do some fishing. And until next time, thank you.